Hey guys, welcome back to the Goodview Woodworks channel. This is part 2 of the river table for the yacht. And so far we have the form built, and what we're gonna do today is we're gonna pour this massive pour. We're gonna go over what to do with the form before we pour, as in prepping the form before we lay the slab in there. Here we go. So what we're going to do first is we're going to use some turtle wax, automotive wax for the mold release, and we're going to cover this entire surface first before we do anything else. Alright guys, so what we're going to do is, when we first put the slabs in here, I realized that I put them in upside down, and backwards. So, if you guys notice the cut, that's what happened. Okay, so I want to give you a quick update. So, for added insurance, we went ahead and taped the outside of the form as well, just in case it leaks. And if you notice, I have a hot glue gun here. And what we're going to do with the glue gun is casting resin. This particular casting resin I'm using from StoneCoat Countertops. You're able to pour it really thick. However, when it cures, it shrinks just a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour it over the top of the slab, and we're going to make a hot glue dam so that the epoxy doesn't flow over too much and we have a lot of sanding to do. We're not wasting epoxy. So here we go. Okay, so if you notice where I put the lines for the glue, essentially wherever we're going to pour extra epoxy that obviously won't be in the river, so pour it here and here, I want to block it so that it's not going all over the place and we're wasting a lot of epoxy. So I'm building these little dams so that when it does puddle up, it doesn't go past these little barriers. Alright guys, we are getting ready to pour. Okay, we're getting really close, so I wanted to show you our setup really quickly. What we've done here, we have our slabs in, and we have some 2x4s. We have these little standoffs, these little blocks. In the 2x4, if you notice, we have the clamps on either side, and the 2x4 is going over the standoffs to keep everything pressed down. And we've also wrapped them in packing tape so they don't get stuck to the resin. So as you can see here, we put a shim in the middle because I guess that my 2x4 is a little crown, and it was allowing them to wiggle a little bit. We want to keep them tight to the surface. All right guys, we are getting so close to pouring. We're going to clamp this down, and then we're going to start mixing the resin up. Alright guys, we are ready to start mixing some resin and getting this stuff poured in. We're starting to pour our first batch, so we're going to go ahead and pour 3 gallons, which is 2 1.5 gallon kits for the casting resin, part A, part B. And we're just gonna dump this whole thing in there. All right, it's part A. Now, if you're not mixing an entire kit like this, the mix ratio for this is 2 parts resin, 1 part hardener. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. Oh, it squirted right in my mouth. That is disgusting. Oh, it's really gross.
I think you have resin on your nose too.
Do I? No, that's not.
Okay.
Time for the second one. We're gonna go ahead and pour 3 gallons, which is 2 kits at once, and then we're gonna mix, and then we'll put the pigment in so you guys can see what the pigment looks like. So we have Rainforest Green metallic that we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna pour some in here. All right, so we got 1 mixed in there, and we've already done this mix. We kind of tested it out, and we're gonna do just a little bit of copper. All right, we're gonna go ahead and mix this. See what it looks like. All right. So just one more thing, I don't know if I said it yet. So guys, on the edges of the wood, this side here, the exposed part that's going to be covered with epoxy, what we did was I used sanding sealer and I sealed all the edges first before, because we don't want a lot of bubbles to interfere with our project. Okay, here we go. See a little bit of unmixed pigment. That is a sweet looking color.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that is pretty. I can't see where I'm pouring. Looks awesome. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do is after we mix a batch of 3 gallons, we're gonna go ahead and pop all the bubbles, and we wanna pop the bubbles in layers. We're not actually pouring in layers. What I mean is we're not gonna let this dry. We're just gonna pop the bubbles and then immediately pour another layer. All right, now you want to do this for each time you pour, so that you want to pop the bubbles as you pour, because if I were to pour it all at one time, there might be bubbles really deeply in there that I wouldn't be able to pop otherwise. All right, guys, here goes our second pour. And then once we finish pouring this, we will go ahead and pop the bubbles here too. All right, guys, we are finished pouring this giant slab. We actually end up using 12 gallons of epoxy. I mean, we only had just a little bit left, but yeah, pretty much 12 gallons of epoxy. So check this out. Look at how pretty this looks. So as you can see, it came up to our little dam and stopped. Look at that. What an awesome, awesome table this is gonna be. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue to come out here in about an hour or so to pop some more bubbles if there are any. And also when I come back, we're gonna stir the pigment around in to give it a nice swirly look. As you can see, when I mix the pearl up, you can see it kind of move around and do these cool movements. That's what I'm gonna do. So there's a few little bubbles here, but really, we're mostly bubble free. See you when it's ready to come out of the mold. All right, guys, it's been about 5 days, and we're gonna try to pull this thing out of the mold. We're gonna take all the sides off first, and then we'll try to pry it from the bottom. Here we go. Look at this craziness I got going on right here. I lost my daggone square drive and I had to add a coupler in a short bit. Crazy. I need to be more organized for sure. All right, guys, if you notice right here, I started to get a little leak. But what I did was when it started to leak, you see it? I don't know if you can see it right here. Right here. I took a clamp and I clamped it down to the form and it actually stopped it. So if you guys ever have a problem with after you made your form and you do have a small leak, just try to get a clamp on there, clamp it down real tight. It should help. All right, now comes the hard part, which is trying to get this thing up off this form. Here we go. All right, guys, it's fully off the table. Now it's real heavy, so it's hard for me to lift, but check this out. See, it's out of there. So guys, that turtle wax that we used as the mold release worked great. I barely had to pry. All I did was I used a couple of wood shims to tap them in there and it popped up all by itself. So turtle wax, great mold release. Guys, if you like this video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button and share this with your friends if you want to see or do something just like this. So this was a success. On the next video, we're gonna go over showing how to prep this slab, get it planed down, and get it ready to put the final coat of epoxy on and finish this thing up. So might be a couple more videos. The next video, we're gonna plane it down and get it ready for the final coat. You guys excited? Because I'm excited for show. Woo doggy! Until next time, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.